Okay, now close your eyes, open your ears, and listen. Oh, crap. Sorry, that's my bad, guys. My bad. Sorry. Let's give it another try. Let's take it from the top. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, rather than telling you what to do, I'm going to ask you a question. When was the last time you really just sat with yourself in silence, sat with your wins and your losses, your certainties and your doubts, your angels and your demons? Odds are it's been a little while, which leaves us with the question of why. Why aren't we spending time with ourselves when presumably we're quote-unquote stuck with ourselves for the rest of our lives? Is there an intentional act of avoidance on our end? Or is there just a lack of opportunity to do so in our ever-busy lives? Either way, assuming we are in control of ourselves, both of these explanations derive from our own doing, whether conscious or not. And I wouldn't, in fact, say it's one or the other, but rather that the two supplement one another. We're avoiding ourselves, and thus our lives and the culture they cultivate are shaped around this act of evasion. Which leads me to the next question. Why would we avoid ourselves? If we are so inclined to run from ourselves, I'm left with the conclusion that something is off within us. We're scared of ourselves. And therefore, the culture we've shaped encourages, dare I say inspires, this refusal to confront our innermost selves. And this makes sense in a weird way, because at the end of the day, we just want to be bigger than ourselves. Our inhibitions, our lacks, our circumstances, our past. So we might as well run from ourselves. But what we're missing is that in order to be bigger than ourselves, we have to take a real, hard, honest look at our most vulnerable self, which can be challenging, even disturbing, as if we are already running from ourselves, there must be some trauma that we're trying to escape. And consequently, reflecting on ourselves and our respective pasts could be equated to reliving the humiliation we're trying to escape in the first place. So, we stuff that voice of reason telling us to confront ourselves in a box and repress it. But, as the law of conservation of energy has taught us, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, and so goes with our emotions. So, we try to pile more on top of that box. As the phrase goes, out of sight, out of mind. By taking more in, we assume some must come out. And thus it is through consumption that we attempt to escape ourselves and our human nature. And not just consumption in the sense of material goods, but in the incessant desire for entertainment, excitement, gratification, acquisition, climax. We want stimulation. But the stimulation is just a distraction, a cover-up, a workaround as it fails to address the deeper longings within us. It's not an end, rather means, through which we can only ever fill our tanks half full, as these pleasure-seeking activities leave us feeling empty when we engage with them with the wrong intentions. We've been deceived by the culture we're part of, where consumption is made to be an end, and accordingly, the thirst for consumption becomes insatiable as we pursue it to no end. We can never have enough of what we don't really want. So, to answer the age-old question of, do the ends justify the means? You better be absolutely certain your means are justifiable, as too often we find that there is no end. There's a certain feigned stasis in the status quo. As if everyone else is doing it, it's alright for us to do the same. Numbers and the spirit of comparison become the way through which we can justify ourselves. However, in these instances, it's not so much justifying ourselves as it is comforting ourselves. And that, right there, is the name of the game. Maintaining comfortability. We'll avoid confronting ourselves and what we've done or failed to do on our own or as a whole to keep up convenience and pleasure. But in reality, we're keeping up little more than appearance. What good is a tank half full if we're trying to make it across the country? So rather than make it across the country, we settle halfway in Yazoo City, Mississippi. But as long as we keep telling ourselves we're alright, it's all good, right? Take it as you wish. But this focus on appearance, on the outward, on the external in order to avoid the internal, is the same type of thinking that's landed us exactly where we are. And to me, that's cowardice, which very much goes hand in hand with ignorance. The same type of ignorance we're appealing to when we run from ourselves to chase one orgasmic-like ecstasy to the next. But what happens when we can't find that next climax, that next stimuli? What happens when we come down from that intoxicating buzz and the incessant chatter we feed ourselves ceases to be? You're left with yourself, and I hope you can take the silence that sits between the sides.
Don't say